Let me ask you something. Why does Taylor Swift have fans who don't just listen to her music, but decode her outfits, study her lyrics, defend her online, buy multiple versions of her albums, travel across the country for her tour, and treat every album release like a cultural event? Because Taylor Swift did not just build a fan base, she built belonging. And when I started studying her career from her early social media days to secret sessions to Easter eggs to Taylor's version to the eras of tour, I realized something. Taylor Swift understands one psychological truth that most artists, creators, and influencers and entrepreneurs still miss. People don't just follow talent. They follow meaning. They follow identity. They follow a world they can see themselves inside of. And if you understand how Taylor built that world, it will completely change how you think about your audience, your brand, and your content, and also your money. I'm Quonda Renee. I've spent over 10 years studying why people pay attention, why they buy, and how perception creates wealth. Let's decode Taylor Swift. Here's what most artists do when they start getting attention. They perform, they promote, they release music, they show up when it's time to sell something. And that can work for a while, but it does not always create deep loyalty because attention and loyalty are not the same thing. Attention means people are looking. Loyalty means people are emotionally invested. Taylor Swift understood this very early. In her early career, she did not just use the internet like a billboard. She used it like a relationship tool. She blogged, she shared personal thoughts, she interacted with fans, she let people feel like they were growing up with her. That matters because most people use social media to say, look at me, listen to me, buy from me, support me. Taylor's strategy felt different. It felt like, come into my world. That is completely different psychological experience. When people feel like they are watching you from a distance, they admire you. But when they feel like they're growing up with you, they become emotionally attached. That is the difference between an audience and a community. An audience watches, a community identifies. And Taylor Swift did not just build people who watched her. She built people who identified with her. This is why the connection runs so deep. Now, this is where Taylor Swift's strategy becomes genius because Taylor does not just release music. She releases clues. She creates theories. She creates hidden symbols, hidden meanings. She creates a reason for her fans to look closer. That's why her Easter eggs are so powerful. Most artists release a song and hope people listen. Taylor releases a song and fans start investigating. What does this lyric mean? Why does she wear that color? Why does she use that number? Why does she post at that time? What does that symbol mean? Is this connected to another era? Now the fan is not just consuming content, they are participating. And that is a major psychological shift because people support what they help discover. And when your audience feels like they found the clue, solved the puzzle, or caught the hidden message, they feel ownership. And ownership creates loyalty. This is why Easter eggs work so well. They turn fans into detectives. They turn listeners into participants. They turn content into a game. And when people are playing the game, they keep coming back. That is the psychology. Taylor Swift did not just build a fan base, she trained her audience to look deeper. And when your audience starts to look deeper, they spend more time with your content. They replay it, they discuss it, they share it, they make videos about it, they bring other people into it. That is how content becomes culture. One of the smartest things Taylor Swift has ever done is create eras, because an era is not just an album. An era is a full identity. It has color, a sound, a visual language, a fashion, a mood, a story, a version of Taylor, and a version of the fan. Think about it. Some fans are red girls. Some are reputation girls. Some are folklore girls. Some are lover girls. Some are 1989 girls. Some are midnight girls. That's not just a music preference. That's identity. Taylor made it easy for people to see themselves inside different seasons of her brand. That is why her music feels personal to people. They're not just saying, I like this album. They're saying, this album was for me during the season of my life. This song helped me through a breakup. This era felt like the woman I was becoming. This lyric said what I could not say. That is powerful because people do not just buy products. They buy identity, they buy memory, they buy emotion. They buy the feeling of being understood. And Taylor has mastered the art of making people feel understood at scale. This is not an accident. This is emotional branding. Here's another thing Taylor understands. The bigger you become, the harder it is for people to feel close to you. And when people stop feeling close, loyalty can weaken. So Taylor created moments that made fans feel like they still had access. This is what secret sessions did. Imagine being a fan and getting invited to a private listening session before an album comes out. You are not just hearing the music early. You feel chosen. You feel special. You feel like an insider. You feel like you are part of something other people do not have access to. That is emotional proximity. And emotional proximity is one of the most powerful forces in influence. People do not just want content, they want closeness, they want access. They want to feel like they matter to the person they admire. And Taylor has repeatedly created moments where fans feel seen by her. Even if most fans never attend a secret session, the idea of them still communicates something powerful. Taylor pays attention to her fans. That belief keeps people emotionally invested. This is something creators and business owners need to understand. Sometimes your audience does not need more content. They need to feel closer. They need to feel like they're not just numbers. They need to feel like they belong in your world. Taylor Swift does not have to explain every clue. Her fans will explain it. She does not have to break down every theory. Her fans will break it down. She does not have to promote every detail alone. Her fans will promote it. This is what happens when your audience becomes emotionally invested. They stop being passive consumers. They become evangelists. They tell other people. They defend the brand. They decode the brand. They make content about the brand. They invite other people into the brand. That is the power of community. A customer buys once. A fan comes back. But a community multiplies, and that is what Taylor Swift has built. A lot of businesses want loyal customers, but they do not create anything for people to belong to. They only show up when they have something to sell. Taylor built the relationship before she needed the sale. That's why when she drops something, people move. They're not just buying the thing. They are participating in the moment. That is the difference. Now let's talk about Taylor's version, because this is the one of the most powerful business and branding moves in modern music. When Taylor's masters became a public issue, she could have treated it like a legal or industry problem, but instead, the story became bigger. It became about ownership, control, legacy, artists owning their work, a woman taking back what she helped build. And that changed everything psychologically. Because now the re-recordings were not just versions of old albums. They became symbolic. Fans were not just streaming music, they were supporting a mission. They were participating in a story about ownership. That is important because people don't just buy what something is. They buy what it represents. Taylor's version represented more than music. It represented agency. It represented loyalty. It represented taking back power. And when a product carries that much meaning, people do not just purchase it. They rally behind it. That is the psychology of ownership. And business owners need to understand this. If people understand the deeper meaning behind what you're building, they are more likely to support it because now they're not just buying a product. They're joining a story. This is the part I really want creators, founders, and personal brands to catch. Taylor did not just build attention. She built an ecosystem. Music, tours, merch, visuals, fan theories, Easter eggs, secret sessions, Taylor Nation, documentaries, re-recordings, live experiences, community rituals, cultural moments. Everything connects. This is why her brand feels bigger than music. It feels like a world. And this is where a lot of creators get it wrong. They go viral and have nowhere for their attention to go. They get views, but no community. They build followers, but no ecosystem. They create content, but no emotional world around it. Taylor Swift shows us what happens after attention has somewhere to live. This is why I always say, attention is currency, but ownership is wealth. If all of your influence lives on a platform you do not own, you are building on borrowed land. Taylor's brand extends beyond one platform. It lives in her music, her tours, her fan community, her merchandise, her stories, her symbols, her eras, and her ownership narrative. That is an ecosystem, and ecosystems create longevity. So what is the real lesson from Taylor Swift? It's not just be talented, because there are a lot of talented people who never build this kind of loyalty. It's not just post more, because posting more does not automatically create emotional connection. The real lesson is this: people become loyal when they feel like they belong. Taylor Swift built belonging through 5 things. First, she made fans feel close. Second, she made fans feel like insiders. Third, she gave every era an identity. Fourth, she turned fans into participants. Fifth, she built a world bigger than the product. That is the psychology behind her fan base. And this applies beyond music. If you are a creator, coach, founder, artist, influencer, or business owner, ask yourself, are people just watching you, or do they feel connected to you? Are they just consuming your content, or do they feel like they're a part of something? Are you just selling a product, or are you building a world? Because the strongest brands are not just known, they are felt. And Taylor Swift is a masterclass in being felt. Taylor Swift did not just build a career. She built a relationship with millions of people. And that relationship became a business asset. That is the part people miss. Belonging can become one of the most powerful business models in the world, because when people feel like they belong, they do not just buy, they defend, they share, they show up, they participate, they organize, they bring others in. That is why Taylor Swift's fan base is so powerful. It is not just fandom, it is identity, memory, it is belonging, it's emotional ownership. And this is why her brand continues to grow. So here's my final thought. Rihanna taught us that attention is transferable. Taylor Swift teaches us that belonging is monetizable. If you are building a brand, a business, an audience, or movement, you need to understand both. Attention gets people to look. Belonging makes them stay. And ownership turns that attention into long-term power. That is what Taylor Swift mastered. She did not just build fans, she built belonging. And this is why she is one of the most powerful case studies in modern influence. I'm Quonda Renee. Every week, I decode the psychology behind the most successful brands and celebrities and influential people in the world and what it means for your business. If this gave you a new way to think about influence, please subscribe.